allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Silence is so. All right. This meeting, details have been placed on the agenda to allow council members, staff, and the public to participate in the meeting via teleconference. Student governor's orders, executive orders, and -29-20 will be no, says no public. There is some public access. National Fiscal District is required. Members of the public may join via Zoom. Members of the public may also remotely listen to and participate in the meeting via teleconference. If you wish to participate in this meeting through the teleconference, simply dial the conference number below. During this call, you may press *9 to raise your hand to ask to speak during the meeting. Speakers will be asked to identify themselves. This is the time for public comments. Council may ask questions, but may take no action during the public comment section of this meeting, except to direct staff to prepare report or place an item on future agenda. If you're to make a comment on a specific agenda item, you may speak at that time. If not, this is the time. Please limit the remarks to 5 minutes. All right, so it's the time for public comments. We have a public comment here.
Hello again.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Tracy Lima. I have lived in this county 20 years and I've never been here. So I'd like to see all your faces, people that I've seen on the ballot. Welcome. Thank you. So I'm here to express concern about an issue that you all are very painfully aware of. It is the homeless issue on Campus Drive. I work on Campus Drive. I've worked there for 20 years at this point. What I'm sure that most of you are not aware of is the level of violence that is occurring around the building to which I work. There are children in and out of that building all day long. And there, I think just on the weekend, somebody was shot in the hip with an arrow. We had a man run down the hill with a machete, chasing somebody down the hill. We've had to enact our, what we call our code mellow, which is to lock down our building at different times. We are having people defecating in the parking lot outside my office window. It's just that is occurring. I saw yesterday they cut down a tree to begin building fires. I leave my building and there are generators running underneath these tent structures in the midst of dry brush. There are generators running on top of vehicles. They are digging under the metal grates that I put around water spigots. They are breaking locks off of electrical outlets. Our homeless community, I'm concerned about that. Every other day, I'm having to walk around my building with my employees, and they're picking up at least 3 bags of garbage every day. Broken bottles in the parking lot. Again, I have children going through. We've had damaged vehicles in our parking lot. We are not a county facility. We are a private, we rent like anybody else. And so I'm exceptionally concerned. We have dogs running loose. Now I understand there are children living next door in the largest of the camp structures. There are 2 motorhomes and a truck with a camper there. It's just, I'm very concerned. I'm concerned for the environment of having feces out in public. So I'm just concerned on a variety of levels. I recognize you can't comment on this. I know you know some of these things, but having not worked next to that for the last, couple of years as it's growing, it's very concerning. I'm now having to spend staff time on doing fire drills because I believe we are at ease. We're going to be evacuated from our building this summer. The fires kick off. We call Yreka police departments to come and respond, and they're amazing. And they always come out and they support those of us that work on Campus Drive. But they don't have time to come in and respond to every little thing that's occurring because because I understand there are bigger issues going on in the county, or in our city rather. So I just wanted to come and I wanted to express the concern of my employees. And for myself, I can't leave my building by myself at night. I've lived here 20 years and we are accosted in our parking lot. I have empathy for our homeless community. I don't know what's going on. I understand there's code enforcement on the agenda. I don't know if it's going to be about that. I'm going to stick around and listen. But I really hope that there's something that our city can do. I realize without a shelter, we cannot evict people. I do not believe that public land that they are on the hill is, but I do not believe that's where the Caltrans group drives their vehicles through. And I have no idea how to figure that out, but I do not believe that that's public
John Marie
land.
Autry and Lorenzo Love.
Join the meeting.
Anyways, so, so anyways, I'm not sure that that's public land, so I also would like to bring that,
Unfortunately, yeah, it's city property, that's.
it's a city property.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the problem with the whole, unfortunately, yeah. So.
I get we can't let people out, I apologize for interrupting you, but the level of danger and the violations that are going on, I just would love to see something happen for that. I recognize you can't move people on, but we certainly can say, you can't have open fires and you can't have all of these things, which I know we can't have at this time. There are excessive amounts of propane going in and out of this camp. My folks have concern that there might be some kind of cooking going on there that's not edible cooking. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I don't need to rate the issue. I appreciate you all listening.
No, thank you, appreciate it. We need more public opinion, because we are working on something, I'm sure you probably heard, we are working on something, unfortunately, the wheels aren't spinning fast enough, because it is government stuff, and it's not, we're trying to work through those, and I'm sure there'll be some stuff real soon that you're gonna be able to see. Like I said, we've been talking about it, it's gonna happen real soon, is the urban campsite, so where we can free up some of this.
I'm excited to hear about that, and I wish that I'd be happy to help and participate. I'm curious to know about, and if you can't answer, that's fine. We have removed camps out of the creeks.
Mhm.
That's also city property. I don't understand why we can't move this group on after they've been here more than a month, more than 60 days, 90 days.
Right.
I just don't understand why we can't move that on.
So there's some
We
rules.
still have them free. We still have them free.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we have spots.
So why PD has removed them repeatedly over there?
Yeah, on certain things they can, it's a little tricky, but yeah, there is some stuff that we're really working on serious things, like you said, I just live right down the street, so. I mean, literally right around the corner from where you're working, so, and I've lived there my whole life, and so I know what you're talking about, how dangerous it is, and everything, I get it, because I tell you what, I see it every night, 2 o'clock in the morning, I see them walking by my house. And that's scary thought, it really is, means when I grew up there, we never locked our door. That's how bad it's gotten.
And YPD now, with that Ninth Circuit Court decision,
Mhm.
it changed everything as to how we're working. So we are working it through. It is good to know, and I appreciate the talk about the generators. We
Yeah,
talked about the trees.
yeah, the
We're
trees,
Tracy talking about that, another tree. It's probably time to go back out.
oh, they want their chainsaw and
Yeah,
rip the tree up, I mean, it's
yeah, yeah.
destroyed.
There are other things.
Beyond that, right, we're defecating in spaces where people walk. That's a
Absolutely,
public
yeah.
health issue. I apologize, I didn't introduce myself, my name is Tracy Lehman, I'm sorry, I was.
No, thank you.
Make sure I need to say.
Thank
Those are
you.
both health and safety. Thanks, Tracy.
All righty. Well, we have some more public comments out there, so.
Seeing none at this time.
No, that's fine. Okay. All right, good. All righty. Well, then we will go to number 1, which is information of the code enforcement officer. That would be yours.
How's everybody this evening?
Good.
So I'm trying to pass out some visuals for you guys. Okay, come back to some. So those are just a couple of the visuals. So Mark and I have sat down for a decent amount of time in regards to kind of what we're trying to put together for policy and procedure for moving forward with both code enforcement and abatement, and kind of how we're going to move through ensuring that we get compliance, whether it be we get a judge signing off on an abatement and or we get the property owner compliance. So what I've now started this year, I've actually walked through my first inspection warrant application, taking it to a judge, and we're working through the process because as many of you know, we've never seen and done that for profits from start to finish. We've gotten partway through one, but we've never actually finished the process. So we're working on perfecting that process. So it's literally a matter of literally step by step, if this is occurring, then this is our step we take. So initially what we're trying to get through is we want to make sure that we start trying to initially get the compliance with the property owner, as I do every single time. When there's no compliance, then the process we want to go through is we get an abatement warrant, which is the inspection warrant to return to the judge to get the full abatement of the property for non-compliance. And the other piece is we want to, obviously it's going to be third party, because we as a city don't have the resources to hire our employees to do those abatements. For example, one of them is requiring a plumber, the other in this particular one, I need an arborist as well as junk cleanup. And that particular one that I got in this quote on is a $26,000 abatement. So, and that's just one. That's not like a collective of multiple, that's just one. So we need to create the process of, if we're going to do essentially put out to bid third parties that want to be on a quote unquote rotation, like we used to do with the tow company, or tow companies rather, that would be the third party abatement companies that would say, okay, we have 3 plumbers, we have 3 arborists, we have 3, and then you're just gonna roll all through, or do we put it out to a bid every single time? Because one of them could be like this, a $26,000 abatement, and the next one could be $2,500. So trying to figure out what's gonna work best on an equal playing field if we're going to utilize third party abatements, or if we agree as the city and code enforcement and the department that these are the 3 that we're going to utilize based off of the information we've collected throughout the community, that these are essentially our bids that we've gotten back, and these are the 3 companies that we're going to utilize for cleanup, arborists, and for happenstance plumbing. And the other piece that I have spoken to a number of times is utilizing special assessment for the reimbursement or the collection of our costs that we put out. We have it written in our code in regards to special assessment. And what a special assessment is, it's similar to a lien. However, the difference between a lien is that can get wiped out by foreclosure and or delayed for the sale of a property to recoup those funds that you need to place the lien on. Whereas a special assessment goes on property, like a property tax, like a bond, and Wayne Hammer and the tax collector would actually collect on that. And we would see the recoupment of those costs that we put out. And then for a non-payment, like with property tax after 5 years, the county can sell the property. We have it written in our code after 3 years of non-payment, we can sell the property to recoup our costs. Any profit goes back to the property. So we have an insurance policy essentially with a special assessment to recoup the costs. With that being said, I think that it would be wise of us to decide a threshold amount, which we talked about at a later time, that liens can occur, and then there's a special threshold amount that would be for special assessments. Knowing that those are the high dollar costs that we need to be able to recuperate. With these types of abatements, there's going to be a time frame, start to finish within 30 days. So my process, I have to get a title search and a number of other things to even start the inspection warrant process and to be done with the abatements within a 30-day time frame. And then that way it's a fast turnaround. It gets done. And then we can deal with how we do it the special assessments, whether it be a lien or how we're gonna move forward with that particular property. And then we can also address at that future point in time, the reoccurrence, unfortunately, because sometimes they're going to have the reoccurrence on a property of, coming back into non-compliance, unfortunately. I've seen that with a number of things. So I think that there is going to be, a need for another meeting in regards to an action item in regards to special assessments, whether it be what kind of threshold we're looking at. I also really believe that, once we get essentially this, detailed plan as far as the steps that we need to be taking to get this to occur, essentially almost like a decision tree. If this is occurring, A or B is going to happen. If this is occurring, so going through this, the decision tree of this process steps, myself and Mark will be going through these steps on every single abatement. Obviously, every single abatement is going to be different. You're going to have one with plumbing issues, one with not, and so each case will be its own item, but there's going to be a lot of similarity because there's a non-compliance issue, and you're going through the judicial system as well as potential hearing officer as well. So there's a lot of moving parts with these, but I think that once we create a policy and procedure for the abatement process, that it's going to become so much smoother of a process than trying to recreate the wheel. As far as current updates where we're at, I can tell you I have 3 title searches open right now. I am working on a return to the judge with one, the large abatement that I was just speaking of. I'm working on a return paperwork for the judge on that one for the approval of the abatement. And I have 3 open inspection warrant applications that I'm working on at the moment. So there's going to be a lot of decision making coming down the pipeline as far as, and these are just the egregious properties, unfortunately. The smaller ones that I'm working on, the abatements and whatnot, is still in full year because we are at the beginning of the lead season. So those ones, I think we can also have a better working policy for how to manage the lead abatements when there's non-compliance on that. And Medford has a wonderful policy how they manage, and I've worked with them in the past for knowledge and information, and they've been fantastic about being an asset in that avenue. So I think that once we kind of iron out these policies, I think it's going to move so much smoother and work in congruence with the police department so wonderfully well.
Well, like I say, the weed abatement, we're coming up on that real soon. All the notices went out. And we got a lot of some feedback, negative feedback, but a lot of people think that that was directed specifically at them, but it's for the whole community. But what people don't realize is we're doing that to keep the whole community safe.
Correct.
And it's to keep the weeds down so we don't end up like Talent or
Correct.
Phoenix and all that stuff. We need to keep that safe and roll back. Yeah.
And the cars, I want to make sure that we don't forget, because nothing like abandoned old beat up cars on the street.
And that is part of also what code enforcement does. So I tag the vehicles depending on what the circumstances with those get handled and towed as well. So those are part of the job duties that I handle and maintain. Absolutely. But yeah, so for the weed abatement piece, most definitely, it's gonna be something that is just going to be a fluid piece because each person, as you know, got the notice. You will know when it's directed at your property because an individual letter addressed to you with your parcel number will come out to you.
That's something we all gotta keep aware of. And just like I stated earlier, the fire danger over by this seal campus and stuff is
Correct.
obviously one of our big issues. And I think that I know there was some talk, and hopefully we'll continue of doing a fire reduction up in there on that. We talked briefly to Jay Perkins about that, so we might be moving forward on that, I hope, here soon.
That has been a topic that I discussed for quite some time as well.
So.
And just in regards to the hill, there is going to be a cleanup for abandoned camps on Thursday. So I will be up on the hill for most of the day on Thursday.
Oh, good. Good. Yes, I'm sorry, Paul.
So first off, I will tell you that letter was issued to me, because I went thinking about Kelly. Anyway, I'm not quite done, so I'm by. She did. Willow, from the town, I'm gonna ask you a number of questions. From the council, the first one or two things that you need from us, we already have our policy turning in place.
I know that Mark and I are working on, so what I had when I first started, 3.5 years ago, was what Mary Frances had left behind, and then my fine tuning over the years of getting everything kind of where I had, an extended time frame process. And I want to get better at perfecting that process, so it's not taking 90 days, I can get it done in 30. And so with Mark's help, I think that streamlining that process and now having the assets that I have found, like I just talked to Mayor about, I literally found yesterday, I will be able to streamline those processes and I will be able to perfect that so much better. And also there's a learning curve. I never dealt with the legal system with a beta form. So this is a learning curve for me, but I am definitely tackling it head on.
And then, fellow councilman and Mr. Baker, we did talk about money, but I don't think we voted on it, did we? Okay, so that's something probably that needs to go on the agenda for our next meeting, would be
our.
because we did talk about allocating.
Yeah.
Two things, and I thank you all, great presentation tonight on that, because I think that once we get, kind of the pro forma policies, and that's where I'm kind of circling with them, it's like, at what point is it city funds on private property, at what point, as she said, finding that threshold, is it 500, is it 2,500? And then at what point do you kind of go into the escalation by through remedies, as she's has spoken to. So there's that part that we need to get that policy in of where that is. And then the next thing is it's for her to have funds to facilitate those cleanups at what policy level again, 26,000. Definitely is one we probably want to go in with a remedy on the property. Maybe at 2,500, it's more of a nuisance value where you just want to go and get it done. And that's where, for me, I think definitely in the budget we'll get funds in there. And then I just kind of need the policy or prompt, and we can even do it as quickly as one by one, what you want to do until that's adopted. You know, for cleanup, and we've talked about that in finance committee, I think, but also before on that, but and so I think when they're ready, it's kind of to come back, and we'll come back to y'all with a recommendation of, you know, at some point it's a nuisance value, it's not worth going through all these remedies, and I don't know what that number is. Right up, I know currently on utility billing at 2,500, we can administratively write off bad collections. We still consider the third party collections, but we have a write off. And on property abatement, you just want to keep it moving quickly and abate it that way. Again, if the timelines are shortening, then perhaps the nuisance threshold's lower. Maybe it's only 1,000 or 500 on that. So
you're going to need
so
policy.
I don't know at what level do we just pay and go, or do we pay and go on these in this framework? And so, yeah, there are budget funds, and next year we're gonna increase that.
Well, and like you had mentioned previously, I think it would be a fantastic idea to have myself and Mark sit with the finance committee to try and like work through those numbers to really see where it's gonna make a difference. Because I had brought up to Mark earlier today that you're gonna have that opportunity cost, you're gonna have that, where is it worth it trying to go through the man hours, the court hours, everything, to try and manage $2,500 versus trying to manage $26,000. So really seeing where that line of essentially, you're not gonna have the return on it because you're using so many man hours to try and manage that. So I really think that, when we sit down as a committee and or just, in a meeting trying to figure out what that threshold is, but I think determining what that threshold is going to be extremely important, because Knowing the man hours it's gonna take for me to do the inspection warrant, for me to go out with at least 1, 2 officers to that property to do the inspection, to then come back to review the return, report back to the judge to go back. So just knowing what the,
Yeah, I got
the
it, like
costs are.
2,500, somewhere
Right.
around there, that's
Right.
like that, but then, yeah, I don't know what that number is.
Correct.
And then I don't know what the guidelines are, when it's just public funds for private property benefit, or when it's, for the public good.
So that's something we need to bring back soon when we figure it out. Plus, I think meeting with the finance committee and then getting some more details of what the next solution can be. Paul, you have something else?
Yeah, so we have one property right now that's at $26,000 about. So, I mean, it's something in my mind, just having seen it multiple times, needs to be acted upon for various reasons, and I'm not gonna go into.
Right.
And and it sounds like Willow has got, she's getting her ducks in a row with a judge. Then do we proceed on that particular one as soon as possible, as soon as she gets things back?
That would be our recommendation.
Great, okay. And let me ask this, I'm not saying with this one, but is something like that where you also would try and apply a special assessment so it would go through Wayne Hammer's office? Or do we just let kind of?
Well, I think that what we like to do is look forward, we put enough work in there, as Will mentioned, there's a learning curve to it. We've also put in a great deal of effort to get there. And I think that given the state of that property, what it does to the neighborhood, we should continue that to its conclusion.
Thank you.
And in that process, we will be looking at using all the available things, because again, it's still they're part of the learning process. So we probably will look at all of those avenues. If we need a budget augmentation this year, we'll talk to you about it, but we're proceeding with it, we're going to go.
Okay.
So I just want to let you know that, and if we need to do a budget adjustment, we'll get it. That's one of the things we'll have to do, I'm dressing. I have no intention of slowing down the process.
Thank
The
you.
process is slowing down.
Yeah. We don't want to slow
We
down.
want to get that one done, then we move on to the next.
Right, exactly. And we will be identifying how much funds we need to do all these things, and then what the cost is of implementing, and a few other issues there, but we can work that through. I think what it is, what's important is to know that Willow has gotten us to this point on an incredibly serious property, and it's still moving. And it's not the last one that she mentioned, there's three more things.
There's 4 that I know.
We're.
One might have a governmental agency helping me out, but 3 for sure by myself. One I might have to investigate.
The 3 of the cross papers. So anyway, that we will be working, I don't want you to think that we're gonna slow down because of fun.
Yes, ma'am.
And if there is an urgency on that particular one of the 26,000, I mean, we could certainly bring back the resolution, making the finding that it's for public benefit, and just take that as a one-off to keep moving on.
Great.
And if necessary, on that, I can even bring in an additional paperwork stating that the judge is saying that this needs to be abated,
Right.
as well as the hearing officer's findings on that property as well.
Good.
Steve, what is, or Brett, I know what a bid is like in the school system. I know what you can go to without doing competitive bidding. If you're doing a job within the city, what is the dollar limit if you do not competitively bid?
Right in the range of the formal bid area, so what?
You don't know what, I mean, the 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 10,000?
It used to be up to 20,000, I know that.
Yeah, there are different, it changes, as you give the formal bids for big projects, and then there's the formal bids for long projects. And I honestly don't know right now based on the process, what we've got, weirdest, fall.
They're not like past, like it was 5 grand, and it was that's crossing.
Yeah.
Okay, and then, so just, can we, can I ask you to have, the, city manager schedule a, finance committee meeting for finance committee and, Willow and,
That's not.
our emergency.
Would be.
Mr. Gilman. Mr. Gilman. This is going.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be done tomorrow, it's just,
I think
if we could get it scheduled
process.
sometime for early June, I think that would be good.
When?
Well, for early June, we're already in.
Yeah, sure.
We're late May now.
Yeah, absolutely. Say the first week of June or something, you'd like to see it?
Yeah.
That'd be good.
We'll get it.
Okay.
Yeah. But, while we got Mr. Gilman here, maybe you could just stand up and, I just want to make sure, I think that everyone knows, Mark Gilman. He's helping us out in the police department and, is preparing himself to take on a larger role in that. Once we, this is,
Get to all the little paperwork.
and I think I would like to think the scoops is not the cool guy. And so far, I think it's been a great help.
Yes, it's been awesome. The morale has been great around the PD and obviously been working great with code enforcement. Communication's great. So we appreciate you stepping in and sacrificing your time and energy to help better the citizens of Yreka. Thank you so much, Mark.
Well, thank you all you.
We can't express
Welcome back.
our gratitude. Yeah, after 25 years, you're back again.
Yeah, I mean, come back when we officially this.
Yes.
There's an issue with your position, with the title.
Yeah,
The whole town knows, but,
Still working.
we're still working on it. Everywhere I go, people ask me about it. So, I was talking to, Joe Smith Freeman's husband today about the lake, and Lake Shasta looks way down. And, you know, it's gonna be worse probably than it was, I moved up here in '86, it was getting bad, you could actually walk, you could just jump across, it's not that wide in some areas. So I would like to just direct this probably to Willow and to you and Steve and whoever. But, as far as cleanup goes, for fire abatement,
Okay.
across
I knew he
from,
was leaving us something there.
across from the county, the behavioral health building, right
Yes.
next to it. The other thing is, I know we still don't have our 1600 grade yet, but when we get that done, the fire abatement in the greenway here and farther down. So can we just can we just maybe address that briefly?
Yeah, definitely. Can I ask one more question? before
No.
we move
Great, Debbie.
Is it,
Yeah.
is it related to
on? To her legal process here
Yeah.
regarding priorities, do you put households with minors as a higher priority?
So in that, when I actually first began, I went over to behavioral health and contacted an individual in the CPS office. I actually sat through the mandated reporting and she gave me kind of a crash course on it. So actually, when I have properties that include minors and have massive non-compliance issues, I too then contact CPS in regards to this. And I am then the mandated reporter on that. So in regards to minors, I don't know if it necessarily takes precedence, but CPS is notified. And unfortunately, more often than not, they're already aware of the situation. I have even sat in on multiple times where they're saying, okay, what do you need as a city official to have them bring their property into compliance so we can work on getting their kids back? So I sat in those meetings with them and line items out what is required for them to bring their property back into compliance. So I do work very closely with CPS in that regard.
Thank you.
So back into that, yes, I think that all we need to sit down, have a meeting, you know, with Mark Golan and Willow and all of us and.
The fire's an issue, and then also what Tracy Lena, and I worked with Tracy for 30 years, for as long as she's been here. I know Tracy forever. And I'm not throwing you.
Said you had more there on the list, Greg.
Yeah. But the deal is, you know, with the deprecation and with the fire, it becomes health and safety. So I think we've got, you know, got other things we have to address.
We definitely, we've been kind of the stagnant place on this, but I think it's time that, you know, we step up. Like I said, fire danger is the most critical right now we have to be looking at, and that's right off the bat, because
that gets going like it has twice in the past now, and burn up half the hillside, we're looking at some serious issues this year. We dodged bullets in the past, and we're
Yes.
not gonna dodge.
And yeah, it's not really good. And code enforcement, I know you picked up, like you said, something like, I mean, I know you're putting out trash bags to try and get them to do that, which, I mean, right now, that's the one area that we can really help. But you said 240 cubic yards of trash you guys picked up?
So when we go in regards to abandoned camps, because unfortunately they will create a camp and they will leave it and then they'll create a new one and then they'll leave it. And so when the camps are abandoned, I go in and I tag them and they are tagged for a week. And then after that point in time, myself and Public Works go in and clean them up. So from the beginning of the year until I think it was a week ago that I had spoken with you, we cleaned up over 300 yards.
Yeah.
And so it's not something that isn't getting done. Unfortunately, it's just perpetuating. But that being said, that we do, and I do actually work with Jason Ledbetter out of the transfer station with the county. And I actually get the bags with the big private seal on them. I have gone to every single one of the camps and informed, if not had them even sign a notice stating that they are to put trash and trash alone in these bags. The Public Works will take these bags as trash. So if they put their personal items in them, they will not be holding the city liable for them placing their personal belongings in these bags, because as I hand them out every single time that I hand them out, this is for trash alone. This is not for storing your personal belongings, nor is it for you moving your personal belongings. These will be picked up and disposed of as trash. So every single time it is reiterated that those bags are for trash and trash alone. And then as far as the camps, we're talking about the fire hazard, if you don't mind me speaking to that real quick. In the time frame when I go into these camps on a regular basis, which I do, you guys are talking about the juniper that they just cut down. I contacted the camp yesterday. I informed them, as I inform all of them, they are not allowed to burn. They are not allowed to have a warning fire. They are not allowed to have a campfire. I also informed them that in regards to that specific tree, they're not allowed to masticate or destroy any other public property like that. That is actually an arrestable offense. I also informed them they are not to touch that wood that they are destroying and masticating, that they cannot remove it. And I actually called Ben from Public Works and informed him that it needs to be picked up and removed, as well as unfortunately in Lower Greenhorn Park, they're destroying Yreka Creek as far as cutting all that down. Any of the homeless camps that are using the brush, the branches, whatever that they're destroying off the trees, I barriers for around their camps. I have informed them that they have to remove every bit of the flammable products and get it away from their camp. And if I find that they are stacking up flammable products, that is actually when we'll wind up getting them an administrative citation for having flammable items, because on part of our public nuisance code that we have, they are not allowed to have flammable and or fire hazards. So I'm approaching this as stringently as I possibly can, ensuring that they're not stacking up and creating a tinderbox as much as I possibly can.
Thank you.
Okay, so they're taking the back of the blacksmith building, they're taking wood to that with fire. And if you look at we try to walk almost every day, they pick clean this year, the sand. They pick clean a lot of bottom sand on the tray, and they're part of, they're tearing apart the historic structures we have out there, so.
Well, I just appreciate you doing all that. I appreciate that you have such an open communication with Mark, and it's gonna continue. This will help the situation, being able to have that open line of communication and being able to get things handled.
The support's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's been absolutely phenomenal.
That's something.
So when you talk to them, are they defensive, or are they nice with you, or are they cooperative?
The ones that I have not contacted before wind up being defensive. The ones that I regularly contact and or have seen me and or get bags from me or have contacted me or have somebody in their camp who's contacted me, mine are easy so much. And it's kind of wild, not anything. They say, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, please, ma'am, thank you, ma'am. I have had, but those again are the ones that I regularly am in contact with, they see me actually driving down the road and they wait. And, obviously that's not the case for every single one of them, but the ones that I have established a quote unquote relationship with in regards to in and out of their camps, asking if they need anything, asking if they're okay, they are completely receptive to me being in their space. They are not defensive. They actually will call the police department and ask me to come out because they need something from me. Because I tell them, you can either call my personal line, but it's gonna be when I get back to the office and or if I get back to the office, or we can call dispatch and we'll get these now. So they have been wonderfully receptive to meeting in their space. Like I said, the ones who are still a little bit apprehensive are the ones that I haven't dealt with and are new to town and or don't know kind of how I'm trying to alleviate the trash issues and alleviate the problems on the behavioral health bill and alleviate, and with the YMCs that we have, I'm doing everything that I can to enforce what we have to try and maintain it. Unfortunately, it's tricky with the Ninth Circuit.
Right. Well, there's just that your safety is a priority as well. So
Oh, absolutely.
that's why I wanted to ask. And, you know, I appreciate everything you did.
Yeah.
I gave you props a few weeks ago, the situation you had it off my house with an abandoned car, and I was even thinking of another place, so I maybe talk about that. But anyways, I just appreciate how professional you are and around town. Just everybody that appreciates you and the work you're doing there, so I just want to make sure people that from me.
Well, I appreciate that very much. Thank you very much.
Well, the Ninth Circuit's decision does specifically say that they have the right to be warned, to be around a fire. Now, and I'm asking this because I know what an attorney's going to say on their side, and I know what the city attorney's going to say on our side. Where do we draw the line? I mean, I don't think they need I know Bernie and all over getting 4 inches of snow on tomorrow and the next day, they're getting a huge snowstorm over the house, but when is their right to not have a fire? What temperature does it have to be for the next circuit court to say?
So, when you don't, from what I have understood, when you don't have ordinances speaking directly to, essentially the right, we actually have an ordinance that states that you do not have the right to have a fire on property that you do not own. We have an ordinance that states that. And our fire chief has stated that he wants me to enforce that code. So that is the code that I am utilizing when I tell them, you're not allowed to burn, you don't have a property owner's permission.
Especially right now, because
Okay,
we're in the fire season, so definitely have
Yeah.
issues with that.
Huh, all right.
I think we might make it, what's the whole site by
We do. We own, so in that block area over there, I believe it's 4 parcels of the city owns. I'm not entirely sure how they have figured out every bit of parcel that the city owns. I do, one of the things I am currently working on addressing now, we were speaking to that Caltrans right away. That is one thing that I am actually going to be working on with Mark this week to come up with solutions in regards to that, which actually might create an action item for council at some point. So that's one of the things that's in the works.
That's awesome. So happy that you guys are working great together and getting some stuff done, cleaned up, and this town is too nice to let it get destroyed. You know, we need to keep it safe first and foremost, and I'm just so happy that we got a team that's working diligently to help fix these problems. So thank you.
I'm glad to be a part of it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Council?
Thank you.
Thank you, Willow. Great. And I guess we want to know too. Discussion possible action consent calendar. All matters listed in the consent calendar are considered routine and will be adopted under one motion. Any member of the council wishes to remove it, an item for discussion, or a member of the audience wishes to comment on an item. City manager recommends approval of the following consent calendar items. A, approval of application of payments issued from April 26, 2021 to
through May 9th, 2021. B, approval of minutes of the meeting held May 4th, 2021. C, continuation of emergency ordinance number 855. D, waive full text reading of all ordinance on agenda. Ordinances shall be introduced and adopted by title only. Is there any questions from the audience or from council? Council? Yes,
Mr.
yes.
Mayor, I would like to, remove item A. I wasn't here for item B for the minutes, did I?
You don't need to.
Okay. I just had.
Paula, you got a question? Okay, so we'll go on 2A for a question on that. And Paul, do you have?
No, I want to make a motion that we approve it, with the, as stipulated by Councilman Joseph. Removing 2A.
2B, so you're approving 2B, C, D, and then she has a question on A, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're making a motion for 2B, C, and D. Okay, so we have a motion for 2B, B, and C. And a second. And a second. So we'll do the roll call on that part, and Steve.
Member Cabrera.
Aye.
City Councilmember Freeman.
Aye.
City Councilmember Floyd.
Aye.
City Councilmember Livingston.
Aye.
Mayor King.
All right, so now we have a question for Retta.
Right.
She's moving on.
And I apologize, I spoke down.
My question is just a simple one under Springbrook software. So there's bills in January, February, and March. Do they only bill us quarterly? I was wondering why we're paying 3 months.
The bills were being emailed. And they weren't, I thought was something being copied on and she was not, so it was, I overlooked 3 months. The bills thinking it didn't work for it. So that is the fees for our credit card process.
Oh,
Right.
gotcha.
And so it's 3 months worth. I was just curious as to why we would get 3 months all at once unless they were only billing us quarterly. So it was taken care of now and it will be monthly.
Right,
So we got to then see now, okay.
which I thought was happening, but it was not.
Okay. Then I would-
Thanks for fixing that.
I would move to approve this tonight.
Okay, so we have a motion on 2A now. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I'll second. All right.
Paul.
Thank you.
Mayor Cabrera. City Councilmember Freeman.
Aye.
City Councilmember Floyd.
Aye.
City Councilmember Livingston.
Aye. All right. We are moving on to number 3, discussion of possible action agreement between the city of Yreka and Cisco Media Council for operation of public educational government television channel. Here. And who wants to start off with that?
Where is it ready to dance? Oh, I don't dance. I danced last time. I was dancing. No, I wasn't here. Oh, I didn't try to
I'll get some later.
So we're gonna start off with Steve.
And I'll turn out, but it won't be very different. Maybe that's what I'll do in the So what you have in front of you are a couple of things. One is that, back in December of 2011, we entered into an agreement, that didn't have any date, that had with the Cisco Media Council to manage and operate the TV access television station and other things that went into that. Pardon me. And so that's in here. And while we were putting that together, we got a proposal from the Cisco Media Council. And we thought, well, rather than talking about one meeting and then talking about their proposal, we really haven't had a chance to do much more to find that. We thought we'd put that into the package. It was similar, but not the same, and probably be useful at this time to hear from the Cisco Media Council regarding their proposed, and then have to discuss kind of where you want to direct staff from. Great.
I apologize, my name is Eric Patrick, and I am Executive Director for Yreka City Council. And I honestly did not bring a copy. So thank you so much.
Yes, Steve has one.
Steve got one, but
But I can tell you this, we did not up our price at all since 2000. I think it was at 11 or 9, no, 11, 2011 this year in Yreka. We know that the cities are really hurting, and it is $5,800 a year. That's what we ask for. It's a part of the franchise fees that you get. And it helps to cover our costs, keep our doors open. We are an all volunteer organization, nonprofit. And we, as I said before, we're hopeful to actually move back to the college. So that would offset a lot of our costs right now that we are in a rent situation. So we did not want to make you guys pay any more than you are already doing. So, and it is incredibly helpful for us to just operate. So, and then the other things were the stuff that we had talked about, which was, it makes so much sense for one of you to consider being on our board. Whether you're very active or whether you just kind of own in and just so you know what's happening and we can say whatever, it really does help us too, so that we can help you. And then the other part is just being a part of it and definitely utilizing your own station and coming in and using the studio anytime that you would like. It's open to all of you. It's open to all for everyone.
so meeting wise, do you have regular meetings?
We do. We actually just moved it because of everybody's schedule. So now it is the second Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. in our office in
Thursday, I'm sorry.
Tuesday.
None of us would be able to.
No, I couldn't.
Well, it's work things, it was just because of one person, and so maybe we can actually work since that we're pretty flexible people. So, but I would like to include someone, so so if it's not that day, if you're interested sincerely, we would be interested in moving it.
That's your mayor.
What do we have, it's like first and third is here.
Yeah, first and third is here, I have a.
Second, we have a public meeting every second, after the last year.
Oh,
We
you
have.
did a workshop.
So we have a workshop.
Maybe Wednesday.
Maybe Wednesday, maybe we should all just move it Wednesday. All the cities are on Tuesdays and Thursdays,
Seems
so
like it.
yeah, Wednesdays might be better. So I certainly will bring that up at our next board meeting. It is a conflict for Ryan Cleveland as well, so it might actually be better for us to change it. So, but I can't think of anything other than that. We did make certain that our insurance is covering the city as well. It's a $2 million policy. That is in place.
You meet in South County, where do you meet?
We meet in Wheat. We're central, right? We're 2 blocks from the college at this moment.
Because I would be interested in that, if nobody else.
So let's all
I'll defer to one of you, I'm just saying, the two of you.
That's not volunteer.
I think John was first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
know. Sorry, I didn't have my hand. Hi. Okay. So, I commend you for the work that you're doing. I have to tell you though that we really miss having you located in my.
Oh, I totally agree.
And if there's any way to bring her back up there, that would be great. Number one. Number two, I would really like to see more visibility of what we do. When I watch that channel, I see a lot of Mount Shasta and
So have you been watching the news, John?
I'm like, no, not this week, but anyway, I know that you've got Democracy Now on like 5 times a day or something. But yeah, no, I would like to see more
So-
local news.
And so local news is right after Democracy Now. It runs 4 times a day on our channel. It's on Facebook Live every Friday. And you should look at her
Wasn't.
But we cover every single town as much as we possibly can.
I've heard it very little from Yreka, though, where I was listening to it, so I'd really like to see. Hey, we're going to be a member, I would really like to see more coverage for
That would be
Yreka.
great.
And since county government is located in Yreka, and we also have a campus for COS, and we also have a lot of the government offices in Yreka. I would really like to see Yreka get covered better.
Great.
I just feel like it's not right now.
We're so building, so it's our 14th episode that we did this year as a weekly show. We are the ones that also gather news. It's actually really hard. It's a huge county. So what we can find, we report on. We're not hard-hitting reporters. And quite frankly, I think there's enough news out there that is really painful news. We're more of a like, whatever down kind of a news station. So, and to me, it is hopefully giving people what's happening, like events, like the Mother's Day thing that happened at the fairgrounds. We announced that, we announced the Speedway, we announced whatever little events that are happening at the Roadhouse and stuff like that. That happens almost every single week. So we're trying to get more. And we're also, just so you know, we really have those community reporters. We all sort of, with COVID, you know, they just kind of scattered and
COVID is hard, yeah.
well, we're just really hard. And so we're trying to gather them back. I would love if anybody has any thoughts on community reporters and people that you know in Yreka that would like to be one. They can just submit a story and then we can roll it in our Yreka news segment, you know. And that was the idea, is that not only would we have anchors, but we would actually have reporters and we just kind of follow through. So hopefully in the future that will be, again, we're at the college with more people. And so it, you know, it would help us tremendously.
And maybe that's what they have a college here.
Oh, I agree. I told, can I ask you a question? Do you know when we stopped being in Yreka, there is no,
It was a while back when Channel 4 was no longer here. Do you remember that?
was it when they consolidated?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
So
consolidated.
2006?
And
No, it's after that.
it was about 10, 12 years ago. It was when I was with the chamber.
I know it wasn't from.
Was it? She was here.
Yeah, I was here.
So it was after?
No, it wasn't here.
It may have been very, it may have been around the time
Yeah.
of the existing media council.
Yeah.
So it's 2000, okay, so the contract. Interesting. So was it in the campus or was it in the actual building?
In the building. At first it was in the building down by.
Right.
And then it moved to Minor Street. And I noticed in your contract, it says you're going to be located on Minor Street. You know,
That's old
the
contract.
That's old
contract.
Yeah.
There's a
Old and
new proposed one.
Yeah, I
The
saw
reason
that.
right after this one.
And the new one. Oh, there.
The new contract, the new one, the one from before. The new one, it says, page 1 of 7 on the front of it.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
old one,
Okay.
back is, well.
Oh, I see. It's not page 11 and 7. Well, anyway, I do know that we put our city council meetings on and basically that, but I really would like to see more information about that.
I agree. And I totally agree too, John. And truthfully, I mean, it only makes sense that hopefully we're building and growing. But we, you know, we are just a few people too, and trying to get funding along with doing all these other things. We're doing our best at this moment, but we are growing.
I
So
think we had a couple more questions. I think Debbie, before you, so Debbie.
Well, actually, my comment is directed to council. I still honestly feel nothing against this city council. But to me, if I'm looking at council information, I'm going to go to the city website. I would much rather have our city council posted, our meetings posted on our city website. It just makes common sense to me. I can't imagine I would go to YouTube to see a city council meeting.
or you could have a link actually on your website that would go to the place that had them all. Since we have all of the ones on our video on demand, that might be something that you would want to consider, is just putting a link, saying if you want to see this meeting or past meetings, you can click here and then you wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not saying don't.
Oh, no,
support
certainly.
the media council. I can see some value there, maybe not at the same amount that everyone else does. But if I'm going to investigate a city and want to see how the policies are and stuff, I am not gonna do that. But You know, I don't have a problem with us posting for community calendar information. This is community council kind of thing. It's just that, where do people? Where do you look for city council information at the city?
Isn't it more than information on the community? Then I would go to a Chamber of Commerce to look for information on the community.
Did I say Chamber of Commerce?
I mean, the city. I'm not gonna go to the city. I go to, this is a difference. I go to YouTube. I go and I look and I pull up whatever's on there and see whatever I can find. Yeah, oh, yeah, that's what I do because there's so much more. You get people to post things and go, and it talks about what you can do and where you can go, and we did went there, yeah. But, and I'm not saying, but I don't disagree with you. I mean, I think in the meantime, until we are filming our own and posting it, which, you know, I don't know what that's gonna take, I know it's not a lot, but it takes a technical wizard other than me. But I mean, I would like to support them just because I will say when they were challenged, no offense, when they were challenged, I love them. I coming around, it's station will tell me, we're really going to get it. I cannot believe all the programming you have. So I mean, I think it's, I think in general, I don't think, in general, I would support it, but, you know, I don't disagree with what you're saying. It would be nice for them to go to the city council, the city website and you look at stuff, you know.
I think it'd be good to have a link. I like that idea.
I mean, let's have that link too, have both.
Right. So I guess our next step is we need to bring this up one more time, is that what we're discussing?
Well, Don hasn't reviewed it. Sorry for interrupting, but Don has.
Right, that's what I'm saying, so it's gotta be brought up one more time, correct?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, what we were looking for, this evening was some direction. And that probably has to do with, do you want the same services from this people? Well, we're really putting it together. Do you want the same services from this community council? Are you expecting to pay the same price as this community council? Are you happy? Do you have suggestions for improvements? That sort of thing. We have here a new, it's very similar to this, it's different, but it's similar, proposal, and so are you ready to have we put on with those services and with that?
I think that would be the next thing, is to have that put on the agenda, to figure out where.
Mr. Mayor, that's what I would give you, consensus from mine, that I would like to see it.
Yeah.
Forward. Can't
So
wait
we,
for.
I guess we're at is, what the rest of the council want to see, I agree. Okay, so that's where we're at, and we'll bring it back, okay? With,
Prepared to dance.
Thank you
guys.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
When the city attorney review it, the state, we'll have to see whether we can actually put it on.
Yeah, if we could, perhaps,
Yeah.
you could call the city attorney and make sure that he understands that.
Yeah.
It's more of the other thing.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, that's a guy.
Say the least.
We can do one and one.
That's a shoot for, depending on.
Okay.
So, city clerk, we're okay in terms of consensus on that?
Yes.
Very good. Okay.
Just let me know.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Awesome. Okay, now we'll move to number 4, discussion possible action, adopt a resolution authorizing the city to advertise for competitive bids for construction of Main Street Highway 3 sewer interceptor project. Cindy.
Hello.
There.
And you hear me now? Mr. McCoy, hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council, this is in the first of 3 very similar looking items.
Yes.
For you tonight. We have 3 projects that are moving rapidly, ready to go, should be ready to go out to bid. As soon as various funding agencies and the city attorney review everything and okay them. This first item is the
the Main Street Sewer Infrastructure Project. As you all know, we've been working rapidly to get this completed before the South Nash Highway 3 project. And also, as I said, the engineers, I think that we go out to bid just as rapidly as we can, as soon as city attorney and USDA approves everything, so that costs aren't driven sky high. And we have a resolution here that we give the city permission to move forward just as quickly as the city attorney and USDA will have it. Is there any questions?
All right. Any council have any questions?
I think it's great, I think I want to go through.
So we're approving this before it goes to the city attorney?
It is the documents are currently with the city attorney. This resolution is simply giving everyone permission to go ahead and go to bid as soon as all the other ducks are in a row. For Main Street project.
I prefer to wait if the ducks in a row, and I like it brought back. I'm not gonna vote to green light something that Dawn has not had a chance to go through and make sure that all the ducks are in a row. That's just me.
He does have the documents in hand now, and there is a stipulation in all these resolutions that we will not move until the city attorney has approved the documents.
So as long as,
Yeah.
with this, I agree with you totally.
Yeah, I'm not voting for it.
If he okays it, so here's just, I'm just kind of throwing propositions.
Uh-huh.
If we say okay, only if he agrees upon it, would that be okay? That would be okay with me.
So, yeah, I want to see,
Mr. Mayor, I would like to change my motion. Because I haven't had a second.
Yes, I'm sorry, you did have,
Okay.
sorry,
I have a
motion.
motion, and my motion is to approve. I would like to say that I would like to make a motion that we approve this with the approval of the city attorney to go forward, and I'll tell you why. It's not a motion. This is for the Main Street project. We are so far behind on this project now that I think that we need to get this passed. Having said that it has to be approved by the city attorney. And that's my motion.
And you guys, okay, so we have a motion by Joan and a second by Debbie.
can I ask,
Yes.
why has the city attorney not been able to see this through? Why has he not been able to see this through? I mean, what you're saying is,
I think we should.
hang on a minute. Why has the city attorney not been able to see this through yet to bring it to us tonight?
I think you just got it. Steve, he has an ordinance in his hands. And
When
there
did
are
you get
some- there are several,
I think Steve has something to comment.
Yeah, so what I want to make sure is that this was, we had a discussion between the city engineer and the city attorney.
Right.
We wanted to get this out, this bid process out as quickly as possible. We did not want to do it without city attorney reviewing it. In section 2 of the resolution, it actually says about the second line down,
and makes it attorney.
it says pending city attorney review and agree. This was, and the purpose of this is so that this council action in the critical path of the project doesn't become something that potentially can hold us up. And we really are trying to get this out to the fast as possible. If possible, we can bring it back to the meeting that would be in the critical path. This is to avoid it. This is something that was agreed upon between, basically everyone that was there, is that we would bring it back this way. So, and just remembering that this is putting the project out to bid. There are other things that the city attorney gets involved in once the impact is coming in.
Right, then the ones that comes in, he's got to review all that, so then we're talking about it too.
Right, so that,
Okay, one last comment, Paul.
Well, I appreciate what Mr. Baker's saying, however, we're not the ones holding it up right now, the city attorney holding it up, so that's, you know,
So,
so.
and that needs to be made.
Yeah, so I'll
We
leave
all
it
need
at that. It's not the council holding it up.
that's what, I'm putting it in that process.
So now we need to go back to, we have a motion and a second,
In my motion, pending city attorney review and agree.
just like it was said, like it stated, so. Okay, so go ahead and,
I didn't hear this.
so she said the motion with pending with the city attorney's approval.
Okay, so that is, that is written in the resolution.
And then we want a copy, or we want that email from the city attorney stating that, correct?
Well, okay, yes,
In writing.
Something,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
but
been
an email
reviewed.
or whatever, but something that all of us, are aware.
Right.
Correct, okay, thank you. So we have a motion, a second on that. We'll then do roll call, please, Steve.
Mayor Pro Tem Barrett.
Aye.
City Councilmember Freeman.
I,
City Councilmember Lloyd.
I will vote nay. I will say that I'm uncomfortable with proving something that we don't know, that we have everything in, all our ducks in a row. So that's a no vote.
Okay, City Councilmember Middleton.
I'm gonna vote nay, because I would like to have the approval as well with the city attorney.
so you are the advisor.
And I will say yes, on that, so. But like we said, with the exemptions, that we have to have that clear with the attorney first and foremost.
Just for clarification, Freeman made the motion. Who made the second? Okay, thank you. And
Mr. Mayor, before we move on, can I ask Cindy, are the next two going to be similar? And
similar,
so, okay, so our ducks are not in a row, but
They are very
you're gonna ask for a vote on something that the city attorney has not had a chance to see and tell us whether our ducks are correct. He hasn't given us a formal data.
City Clerk.
And section two.
I'm asking a simple question. He's, to Cindy right now. We're gonna be looking at two more items here that the city, that our ducks are in a row, but the city attorney has not been able to look through them and say your ducks in a row. Thank you.
Okay, so move on to number 5 then, discussion possible action, adopt a resolution authorizing the city to advertise for the competitive bids for construction for the Yreka Main Street water system improvement project.
And as Councilmember McCoy mentioned, this is similar to the prior item. In section 2, it does have the phrase city manager designated director of public works and all of the proper officers of the city are hereby provisionally authorized and the city attorney review and agreement to solicit competitive bids for construction for the Main Street water project. This is a similar item, a similar reason for trying to get permission to update it as soon as we possibly can on the advice of our city engineer. And there are further questions. And Mr. Mayor, similar to the last one, is just because most of us have been intimately aware of the project that's going to be coming down on the city for the next 3 years. That's the Main Street project. We've been slowed down for some reason in our process. And because of the fact that time is of the essence, and because it's in your pending city attorney review and agreement, I would like to make a motion that we approve this resolution number 2021-20, pending city attorney review and agreement, so that we may go out to bid at the earliest opportunity.
Okay, so similar motion, but okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Second. Mr. Baker, roll call again, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Barrett.
Aye.
City Councilmember Freeman.
Aye.
City Councilmember Lloyd.
I'm going to respond before I vote to the respectful Joe Smith Freeman, in that, yes, this has been a long process. We're nowhere near the end. A week or two doesn't make a whole lot of difference in making sure that this city is protected and not doesn't get into something else like, anyway, I'm not gonna go into it. So I will vote no on that, because we don't have our ducks in it. We do not have legally everything that we need to know from our city attorney.
Or, I'm sorry, you're off.
City Councilmember.
I will say, of course, I just think we need to do our due diligence and really have them look at these important documents before you rush and not have them sign our growth, and therefore I spoke nay.
Okay.
Yes, be on me. Aye. All right. Okay, so now we are on to number 6, such discussion possible action to adopt a resolution authorizing the city to advertise for competitive bids and extension for the East Lennox Street water line replacement at WTP water filter project improvement project. You know, get it out. All right.
This is the third project. This project is now ready for upbid. The city attorney has the documents and is reviewing them. Again, this is simply on advice of our city engineer to put projects out to bid as quickly as possible to avoid massively increasing costs, especially with increasing costs of pipe and construction and the business of construction season after COVID. Is there any questions?
Any questions?
When is this set to start then?
As soon as possible, as I said, the city attorney has the documents, the bid documents now.
So, okay, so
Within,
if the city, let's say we approve this again. Goes out to bid, how long to bid, are we talking about the process thing? I can pay the costs on pipe, on pipe, particularly PVC, and are escalating every month. They're outrageous now, it's 75 cents a linear foot for half-inch pipe now. It used to be like 28. When are we looking at, and can you talk a little bit about the scope of the sewage, and, you know?
so the water line project?
The water line project.
Yes.
Yeah, Lennox water line, sorry.
Yeah.
It's a water line on Lennox Street. I believe it goes under the freeway and alongside right on Lennox Street.
Okay.
It's replacing that water line. It's a project that has been in the works since 2017.
Do we have math or data to address this at all, or?
Well, I'm right here.
I understand, but I mean, okay. That's fine.
The other thing that includes is water treatment plant filter treatment that they're rock cable out of the plan thing that we should move forward on. Because we want to replace sooner than later. Yeah. The water and gas.
Let's try.
So my question on this one, is this anything to do with the Main Street project?
No.
Okay, so what would happen if we wait until the next meeting? I was concerned because I know the Main Street project kind of said yes. It is kind of the essence in this project as well in a way. The city engineer is very anxious to get it out, it's partly because that's escalating costs, partly because it's all these other projects. However, we're expecting, what did he say? Steve, he wants to get out as soon as possible within the next 2 weeks, if possible. And of course, again, that is dependent on the city attorney.
Right.
Okay, the documents.
So my answer to that would be, how is that any different from the last two?
It's not Main Street.
It's not Main Street, I realize that, but you're okaying something ahead of time before, and so it's no different. Is what I mean. I'm not trying to be mean about this.
What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to be considerate
Yeah.
of two of our council
Oh,
members that have concerns, and if I'm listening with the essence. But if we're talking about a $10,000 increase in price over the
Quite
next 2
possible.
weeks, then I would have concerns, I don't know.
We don't know that.
Depends on how much pipe you're laying and everything. I mean, my concern is, and this is not even anybody here, aimed at Don, is that lack of planning on his part does not constitute emergency on my part. Okay, that's on all three of these. His inability to get them seen and make sure that everything is fine and everything is legal and contractually wonderful, that's not our concern. Our concern is him making sure that he is providing for the city and not putting us in an area where we're in a gray area or we're in a bad light, or something could happen that can come back to haunt us financially, or either financially, or could come back to haunt us, with other workers issues.
And I feel Don, does his job quite well. Once he, when he sits down and does it, he does it quite well. So.
Yeah, but this is not done. And I'm not picking on it, I'm just saying fact.
Yeah.
We can sugarcoat it, like I said, we can call it Rice Roni or Rice Krispies, whatever, but it's not done.
Right.
But he knew this was over cancer. Don knew it was really talking with the engineer, and they said time is of the essence, we get this done. See, we would like hit that test, and he said, okay, the engineers, that, okay, we need to get this done, get this out there, get this out the bid. You did your due diligence, and it's not good to him, we don't know what he said, right, or we asked him, but he's had it for a few days, I'm assuming, correct? Several months. Oh,
wow, right.
so,
Yeah, see, they've
about
done,
2 months,
city's done their due diligence.
so they did their due diligence, he's had it for 2 months.
He hasn't had all these,
No,
just this last one.
So the Main Street one,
Yeah.
everything was coming together, and that's why we ended up
Right.
having, basically very large meetings about that to deal with that. This is a different project, with a different timeline, and it's really being driven probably more like commodity prices and also the, probably more the filter work than the pipe work itself, because the filters are they're critical. I don't know anything about the filters, and I'm not climbing in there.
so I can say he's had it, and we were under the gun, and had a conversation with engineers. It should have been a priority to get it approved, to get it done. So we know that's for a fact that we have looked at it, there's mistakes, because there is mistakes, and it's come back to us and have to go.
Well, that's gonna happen no matter what. I mean,
So,
when the way this was worded, this last two were done, was worded that if he finds a mistake, it's gonna have to come back to us.
So actually what we would do is, we would fix it would, I don't, first of all, I don't know if it would already state,
Not the way
there's changes.
Any changes, yeah.
As a result of the review.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
We have to make, yeah.
So you wouldn't see it come back.
Oh.
It would, instead, this one, and remember, this is what we do all the time on the bid stuff, is we put it out. What we're asking you to do is to allow us to go out, knowing that there's a little bit of legal review left to go. And, we can wait, if you really wanted to, we could do that. This is second in line with, the Main Street water, sewer is first. Right. This is second, and Main Street water is third in terms of the priority of the contract. Right. Based on that. So,
I think that it has.
I was just gonna let you know, just in order of priorities, because there's financing on the Main Street, so with USDA and the bond council, more likely if Don cleared this particular project, that would be the last hurdle. The legal on the Highway 3 sewer with USDA still has some bond council and review the bank anticipation note and also coordination with Banner Bank. On that, and I was expecting my notice of intent letter, and I don't have that yet. So there's also legal and financing on the Highway 3 sewer. On that, so I just wanted to clarify that.
Clarification, clarification, Mr. Mayor. So are you saying that if it wasn't approved, that nothing goes ahead?
I'm still saying on the Highway 3 sewer, there are some additional hurdles with the financing that still need to, will come back to you for action.
So it's gonna be more to come.
More to come, there
Yes.
was more to come. Okay.
Because I don't have it to bring to you yet.
I do remember us
But
talking
he-
about this for a
But
long
Don
time.
needed it right now. He needs to vote tonight, even though there are more hurdles that's coming out.
I'm just saying on the Highway 3 sewer that, although it's a high priority, that we still are gonna have to come back to you on financing before it gets.
It just doesn't seem like we have our ducks in a row here. And I'm sorry, Mayor, for that. I had hand up several times, but I'm just gonna interrupt.
Didn't see it.
I'm trying to keep interrupting me. Well, it just seems like we don't have our ducks in a row. And, we're not doing service for the citizens of Yreka. Again, prices are going up. We don't even know when this one's gonna go up to bid at this point in time. It's probably gonna be 60 or 90 days before it's bid. Prices are gonna, I mean, as long as you've got oil shortages on the west coast, on the east coast like you have now, you're gonna have trouble with petroleum products, and you're gonna have trouble with steel. So, prices are gonna go up. We all know in construction, I bought 14 boards for $700 on Friday over at Scott Valley Builder. So I mean, stuff's going up, it's, and we're paying for it. I hate to see us pay for it and get screwed because we approved something that we really had no business approving.
Yes, well,
Oh, but I have a question if I may.
yes.
Just so that if we get approved this tonight, how soon we just got it?
This one, this, the bid, as I understand it, this is the legal reviews last hurdle on this one.
Yeah,
On the USDA, we've got two hurdles, we have the legal hurdle, and we also have the financing hurdle. So I don't want you to surprise that, oh, we need to do this before we go out for Highway 3, and be surprised to hear that from you. So I just want you to know, I still need to come to you with financing information to that decision.
but my question was,
On this one,
if we approve this item, and this is the item on Monday, when would it go out?
You saw it.
it's in not approved, the legal contract.
So this would go out within what time period?
I can't speak for that.
If it was, if the legal review was done today, I believe that it would go out, right away. Like it would be,
Okay, today's Tuesday, so it'll go out to bid by Thursday.
well,
If-
okay, I don't know.
I just wanna make sure that it's not 6 months.
No, it's not 6 months. It's how fast they can get to it. And if I understand the bid process, there's not a time that's in between, like, publishing and that kind of stuff, but I don't really know that. But I don't want to say something that's wrong. But as soon as possible, we will.
And I can say 6 months, I said it could be 45 to 90 days.
Oh,
But let's look at this. Let's look at the construction costs. This bird is slow. This bird flew back in January of 2021. I mean, the cost of plywood was going up per month, $10 for a 5/8 piece of plywood, $10 per month for 6 months until it got, it went from 27 or maybe it was old one, I think it went from 27 to $99. So I mean, so the cost, looking at it, I understand what we're saying, we want to be good stewards of the money, but looking at it that the cost, we're worried about the cost. It's like saying, I can't, I'm gonna buy that Rolls Royce, God, maybe we should have got 10 miles a gallon instead of 8. It's one of those things.
What's the difference?
Or like when my dad used to say, we said we want to buy a new pickup, and you go, great, I go, but gas is so expensive, you can't afford the gas, you can't afford the pickup. So I mean, I'm not sure why we're rushing into it at this point. I understand the optics are, we gotta rush into all this stuff because we got a highway going through in the next 3 years. I understand it. You know what? We still have to do our due diligence on all 3 of these.
And I hear we are though.
Yeah.
I hear we are, because we are not saying do it without the attorney approval, we're saying everything hinges on my review.
We don't get approval, we don't.
And I agree, everything hinges on his approval, but I will not give my approval tacit or otherwise, if I don't have his approval. How can I say, yeah, this is good to me? It's like saying, yeah, this bond looks good to me. Oh, I missed that.
So in conjunction to that, there's other things, like when these bids, when they go out,
Mhm.
we're relying on those companies to follow through on that. In this sense, we're relying on Don to follow through on this. He's following through on this or it doesn't happen. So same thing we're on the other end of it. If we hire somebody to do these projects, they have to perform or they don't get paid. So in a sense, we're kind of doing the same thing by saying that Don has to do the job or else we're not moving forward.
But what happens if for one reason or they don't perform, then we end up in a little bit of a contest.
Right.
And so, and that's because we were quick, we can get it done now, we can get it done now, we can't wait for 7 days, we can't wait for 14, we haven't done now. because it has to be done now.
I understand what you're saying.
It's
Yes,
not-
Debbie.
One more piece of the puzzle to me, correct me if I'm wrong, because there's so many different entities that are involved in this, if you waited until it was done in normal order of things, that window of opportunity for the city to perform their due diligence with the wastewater and water before Caltrans starts their highway project, it's going to overlap. And I thought we were time sensitive because we needed to do it before Caltrans started. Is that correct?
Yes.
That
Well, which line are you talking about? You talking about?
That should be just approved, not the Lennox Street.
Okay.
Just approved.
So it's,
That's how come I supported it, because we have to have our work done, and if all our part of moving this forward faster is just our approval, I don't have a problem at all with the approval, obviously, I voted for it, because it all hinges on after Dawn's review, right?
that's right.
So then we're just one less step they have to do in the crunch time,
Right.
that's all I'm thinking.
one thing I want to add to this, and if it's gonna take Dawn 2 weeks to do this, then we just wasted our time.
We need a city
This
attorney.
whole argument.
We need a city attorney.
Well,
And why is it not here with us tonight? That's another question I'd like to ask.
Yeah, and
I mean, because again, I agree with what you're saying. We have been a long time in this, and I don't understand why we just got to the end of it a week or two ago. We got to some conclusions that we could have gone to 6 months ago. But somebody's been sitting on something. And again, on whoever's part, does not constitute emergency. On
No,
our-
but who pays in the end, the community, we need to go forward with this project. And if all the ducks finally get in a row, then we want to move forward, we want to get it done before Caltrans.
And then if they're not in a row, who
It
pays?
stops.
The community. pays. No, the community.
This thing hasn't happened, so I want to break for slowly. Go ahead, Steve.
so, this was a strategy to, get ahead of the curve in terms of getting council behind. I can tell that there's some concern about that. And in some cases that I'm here, we, it's possible that maybe a couple of weeks would make a difference when it comes to the project. This is a strategy to make sure though that if we could get that out before your next council meeting, that we could, do that. And this one probably, at this point, I would put it on the agenda, originally came up with a strategy. This project and the sewer project on Main were the top two. Right. This now has, because of the financing on the sewer project, that one's a little bit behind now in terms of what the last hurdle was. We were trying to prevent the last hurdle with
Us.
the city council. Yeah. And that was a deliberate strategy. To do that. This one.
And why is that? So why are you trying to prevent city council from being the last quote unquote hurdle on this?
This time, that's all. So, it sounded reasonable at the time. And, anyway, this project right here has the best chance of moving forward before your next meeting.
This project here.
This one.
Can we go back to the other two? How much, because you brought up a good point, cost of taxpayers, how much more is that cost of taxpayers if we were to have waited on 3 and 4 and voted on it, say, in a special meeting either next week or in the regular meeting the following week? How much is that cost?
See, first of all, there's no way for you to know.
Well, okay, you answered my question, that's all I need to know.
Second of all, the water one could.
What?
The middle one could wait a couple of weeks. We just put them all together, the water one together.
Why, I want to call a spade a spade.
Okay.
You know, I don't want to compare apples and oranges, I want to compare lemons and lemons, limes and limes.
Okay.
So any more comments before we?
No, but if Debbie has a motion.
Is that it?
Gee, what were you trying to say? Let's see. I would like, Smith, I would like to adopt a resolution. Where am I?
Number six.
Yeah, is that correct? Okay. Requested action, adopt a resolution authorizing the city to advertise for competitive bids for construction for the East Winnick Street water line replacement and WTP filter improvements project. Oh, pending city attorney review and approval.
That's in the contract, so you don't have to.
I know.
You're not gonna do it.
That motion.
So we have a motion and a second. Mr. Baker, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Barrett.
Aye.
City Councilmember Freeman.
Aye.
City Councilmember McCoy.
Nay.
City Councilmember Middleton.
Nay.
And I again.
Mr. Mayor, in the future, I would ask that the attorney gets to see these things in a timely manner and that he is kept on track, and that's probably gonna be you or Debbie. Mayor Pro Tem.
There's gonna be some discussion.
And that he
I
gets
promise
that
you- I
to
promise you on that, I will.
Yeah, I've never worked with an attorney that says, go ahead and approve something, go ahead and sign it, and I'll approve it later. But
I've never been a house contract and say, yeah, you're signing this, and I'll fill it out later.
So we're gonna, like I said, him and I will have some discussion.
Yeah, I think
I
we
can
need-
guarantee you that.
You might need a little bit of both.
Yeah, on some other issues too.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you, Retta.
Thank you, Retta.
But we'll still hear from me on that Highway 3 sewer. I'm fine.
All right, so now we are on to staff reports. Steve.
Thank you, Mayor, Representative Castle. I had just a couple of things that I'll go into, but first I'd like to give Liz Casson
She's been waiting patiently.
an opportunity to give you a staff report. So she can give you
I think I'm unmuted. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
I'm having some Wi-Fi problems. So I'll be quick. I know it's late. I wanted to remind everybody, we've got a planning commission meeting tomorrow night where we're going to go over 2 of the ordinances on the mobile vendors and the fence heights. And then I know I always say this, but I'm really excited about a project we've got. I asked Arthur to give you a copy of a site plan review. Do you have it before you?
Yes.
I think this will even make Lorenzo smile if it's still on.
You got it.
So we're now reviewing an affordable housing complex, 50 units on North Woodville. It's still in the process for grant, but this is really exciting. 50 affordable units.
Nice.
Good news.
Yeah, real good news.
And then for our June meeting, we have a proposed Arby's wanting to come to town.
Oh, yeah. I heard about that, yeah.
Go be.
So that's still in review process. We hope to be able to take it to the planning commission on June 16th. So do you guys have any questions?
Wonderful.
Wonderful, thank you.
Good news, Liz. Thank you.
Great report, thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you. Good evening.
Your mask matches mine.
Notice your head doesn't move.
Yeah, I know. Liz, how do you stay so,
And she hasn't blinked.
how do you stay so quiet there? You never blink, yeah.
Shadow backstage there. She sits there.
Don't get too scared.
Okay, I just wanted to mention just a couple of things. There are 3 funding sources that we're looking at that will be coming to us by formula. One of them we mentioned before, which is the Parks per Capita Grant, which is about 178,000. For every other city or they'll get that same amount, which is pretty amazing. And I will be recommending that we have some sort of workshop, public meeting, discussion on the best things to spend those funds on. Remembering that maintenance is not what they can spend it on, but you can spend it on capital improvements, which sometimes to the average looks like, but it's not. There also, if you remember about a year ago this time, we talked about the permanent local housing fund. I don't think we called it that at the time. But this is money that can be used for various housing purposes that comes from the state. It's a 5-year program of allocations that they will give us. The first 2 years, so last year's figure and this year's figure added together, they're estimating about 257,000 in round numbers. And that also is something that we should probably be talking about. This funding source as well as the parks per capita need to identify the project for which they're going to be used by the end of December 2021. So this would be another one to probably have some discussions. So we might start out with the homeless committee and talk about some of the uses that it could be. However, there are some restrictions on how it can be used compared to what some of the projects are. So we'll have to wander through that. I'm watching the webinar tomorrow, and we'll have a lot of free time between 10 and 12 drop on by. It should be entertaining. The last one is the American Rescue Act, another Retta and I both mentioned to you. That's 1.4 million over 2 years. Rough numbers, yes. And that also will be something that we will be looking at. I believe that we will be looking to not actually. There's a lot to it, and we go into this more of the budget workshop. But a lot of this is stuff that we will need to talk about how we're going to spend the money and how we want to be able to receive the money for previous revenue losses or expenses that we had with COVID. So I just wanted to let you know that those 3 funding sources are coming up. It's not every piece of money that we get has strings attached to it. So and they're different for all 3 of those programs. I also want to mention something that perhaps Councilmember Freeman has heard of this, is that on our last 2 city manager calls for the division, there's been a lot of concern about Senate Bill 1383, which requires organic recycling. And this includes whatever lettuce I don't eat it, but something I guess we recycle, that sort of thing. And some other stuff as well. So this is something a lot of cities are very concerned about, how we're going to meet those requirements. And in the past, we had a waiver, and I'm pleased to tell you that Arthur, who's I think up on my left hand over, informed me today that the Siskiyou County is working on another waiver in the future. And given the lack of facilities in the county, as well as the small size of the various cities and the high cost of transport, it makes sense that we have a waiver for that. But I just want to let you know, in case you're hearing from other jurisdictions, we can call it way up there, so it's down here, the COVID, and then there's enough organic recycling. So I just wanted to let you know that is why you're not hearing it from staff as a real concern, is that there is this waiver. This waiver possibility that I hope we were doing, and turns out the county is actively good. So with that, I will leave you to more exciting reports that you have.
Well, I actually want to, if Mr. Hillman has anything he wants to add as a staff report, if there's anything he wants to say or add.
Well, we can have a whole lot to say. We're doing the best we can. Will has been amazing, the harvester. And we're working on putting out a lot of little fireworks and building some projects as far as.
No, not real fires. Not real fires.
So Will is actually working on fireworks. Several fireworks.
Yes.
Working on that right now.
Good. Well, good. And there's nothing but positive things. The morale, it's just amazing at the PD, and it's good. We'd love to hear that coming up. Heard you guys had a nice little barbecue the other day.
Yes, we did.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm sure they enjoyed that, the guys did, huh?
A lot of people.
Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Although the data that I have heard is from our real estate professionals that we are going to be losing a great appraisal. For appraiser for a little while.
That's true.
So they're not, I'm not happy on this side, I'm happy on this side, so I'm in the middle. Of how I got it. It's just all the real estate agents are running up for like, raise your hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't please them all. I know, so just can't please them.
So,
It's always so. No, I'm kidding, I totally am excited. We're sad to see you leave that side of the business. Yeah, because he's been great over the years.
thank you for your devotion to the city. That's all I can say. It's amazing. We love it. We love to see that devotion to the city. First and foremost, it's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So, okay, we'll move on to council member reports. Paul?
I'm gonna defer to Joan on one thing, because I know she's gonna hit, I know you are gonna hit it, so I'm gonna say anything about it.
A walk sometimes.
But I'm gonna do a couple things. Number one, in answer to Steve's organic waste recycling, most people know that this was the original school, this was Yreka Elementary here.
Right.
This was all Yreka Elementary property, and they gave it to the city for $1 to build a city hall here. And across the street was the old recycling station. It was kind of a little pig farm. And so you just dropped all waste from the transfer went to the old pig farm, and you just drop it over the fence, and the old pigs just ate it. So that might be, maybe we can send it to Washington DC. I don't know. Sacramento or DC, just drop it in the capital and let those pigs fight over the try. Anyway, I want to thank Liz for the good news on the 2 items that you shared with us. I want to thank Cindy particularly and Retta for kind of explaining things to us, and I appreciate your help. So just because we vote no does not mean we don't support something. That's just, one of the things that I was taught when I went to the new council boot camp was you don't vote, you don't abstain, which I did once. You don't abstain, you vote no. When you don't have enough information, you vote no. It's either yes vote or no, and abstention is a cop out. So I want to thank you for, you and Cindy, please. And I want to thank Steve also. And then the last thing that I wanted to say, let's see if I can read it here. No, I think that's it. It's been, it's nice to see, I see Tesla's put in 8 or 9 charging stations out out here, one of these days.
I counted them, I took a picture, I'm impressed.
The last thing I will say is one of these days when I'm grown up, maybe I can afford the $80,000 or $100,000 to buy one. Thank you.
I can afford one with my son has 2.
I can't work.
They're nice colors, that's for sure. All right, then, Corey. Thanks.
Couple things is, I've been in my seat 5 months, 6 months, I don't know, 6 months. 6 months. And finally, I got to go out to Fall Creek, out Friday. So you meet me at around 3 years, and I think we'll be on it.
I had one scheduled and it got canceled and could never get another one scheduled.
I had 2 canceled, one because of COVID, and we had a lot of stuff to deal with here, but it was a beautiful day up there. Wow, it was just gorgeous, and like I see where our water comes from, it's amazing just to see it. Like Debbie, she told me she was expecting something big and grand, and you walk up to it, this is where our water comes from, it's a little building, it's a little pond, there's more to it. And but no, it's amazing. That was very knowledgeable on the water and the fossil dam removal, where everything went. That was very educational. I'm glad I finally got to go. The RVers are back. The ship was packed full of fancy RVs, and the people are coming back up there and fishing. And the lake is, the Iron Lake is cool. It was really great. I decided to be like really low, and it's cool. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. So I finally got to do that. And then another project I've been working on for months, and it's kind of been at a standstill, so that everything else is the skateboard park. Steve's been working with me, and lined it up with Matt and Ben. Friday, and then Matt and I went to the ball race. So we are gonna make some improvements. They ordered, I believe, ordered the half pipe, new half pipe on Friday, and we're going to price it out. We're going
Confirmed it was
to,
ordered.
was that,
Confirmed it was
it's ordered,
ordered.
okay, so it hasn't ordered.
Exceeded their card limit, so we did it.
Okay, great, great, so it hasn't ordered, so that's good news, so,
Do we have to approve it?
Do we have to use it?
it's already.
Now, if you use it like that, that would be the more.
Since I'm kind of overseeing it, I don't have to do it, you guys don't know. I need to watch, that was what we were on. So you guys get to do the half pipe.
Yeah, just don't, get mad.
So,
She's gonna do that for us. We'll do the dancing, we'll let him do the half pipe. We'll dance for you, Steve.
so that's good news, and they're going to work on the cracks and resealing it, because the pavement is really bad. It's really bad, and we better get that out there. Repair the other ramp that's there, get rid of the graffiti, and just make it look better for a temporary few years use hopefully. And then I'm working with a group, they want to bring one in, the skateboard park that looks like Al Shasta's or Ashland or Weeds with the cement one, but that's a lot of money, and I did speak to the lady, she is forming a 501 C3, I believe, and start raising money. Yeah, so that's gonna be a few years out, but I think it's gonna be, they're gonna be very excited that we are making those improvements, and we can close it, take it out, that's not what I wanted to see, because it is used, I drive by there every day. It's been used more, Steve was saying it was used, I drive by every day, and there's 6 or 7 kids out there, and we close it out the fence, and so we got to get, at least something back in there. And so I'm very excited. So July, I believe they said that we deliver. So hopefully the first week, second week of July, we can get a team for a day, get it ready. Our kids will be happy again because, I did receive a call from Trenton, the 14-year-old boy that I got from. That was an amazing speaker, just. Anyways, so he'll be happy. We have all these. I know, I will. I call his mom, have her number, and I'll be cool. Invite him, talk to us.
Future councilman.
Yeah.
Yes, because he was very well spoken. So,
Cool.
No, it's awesome.
we'll leave it there.
Awesome, thanks.
Joe.
Okay, well, it's been a busy few weeks. So we had Northern California, they call it Sacramento Valley Edition, but I call it Northern California because it includes all of us and we're not in Sacramento Valley. We had our board meeting last week, and we are organizing our quarterly membership meeting. Remember, those are normally in person. We had them here before, whenever we were at the stage office and we took them down the Greenway, when it was brand new, and we took them up to the park. Anyway, this one will be a Placerville. The only difference is it will be virtual. So I'm not exactly, they're supposed to be taking us on a tour of Placerville, and I'm not sure how to do that virtually, but they're gonna try. We have a new council member from Placerville that's on the board. So that should be interesting, if any of you are interested in tuning into that, I can pass the information on the walking to.
I can offer to interpret what you see.
Oh. We can get back out like that.
They're getting rid of the Hangtown
Oh, yeah, they have it, the name Hangtown there. I don't know if you know that. Placerville was Hangtown before it was.
They're woke now. They're woke now. I mean, that's the same.
They're getting rid of the use of.
Yeah.
That's actually.
Yeah.
That's how they hung horse thieves back in the, I mean, that's the way it was.
We had one of the last hangings, I guess the last hanging in the state was here.
Well, it was down here, yeah. Jeff Hendricks' dad pulled him out of the noose, and he was the, his dad or grandfather was the coroner, pulled him out of the noose, and Jeff said as a kid, the rope was at grandpa's, and people used to come out and feel it. It was hung down by the station where you're on the freeway down there.
What a field trip.
So, We also did not take them on that field trip. Anyway, City Local Transportation Commission meeting was also last Tuesday. And one of the things that, as Paul said, that I wanted to talk about is I was able to thank Caltrans on that meeting for getting the flashing lights crossing South Main Street.
Amen.
South Main.
Thank you.
And I actually witnessed it before the meeting. I was so happy. So
We should
I
do a push it.
I don't know if you've seen it, but there's two big, yellow things, signs up there, but they only light up and flash when somebody's crossing the street. The day that I was there were 3 little boys. They were probably 8 to 10 years old, maybe 9 or 10. 2 on bicycles and 1 on a skateboard. And they were so proud. They pushed that button, the lights flashed, all the cars stopped. I was so proud of what they had, safely across the street, and that's something that we did. We got Caltrans, and that was.
Thank you for all your work on this. Awesome. Thank you very much.
I was very, very proud of that, stuff named for streets, so.
Those requests a lot.
Also, pardon?
I said those requests a lot. I said,
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
But
Good job.
we got their attention, yeah. So also, we had legislative action days, last week with Cal Cities in Sacramento from Yreka. So it was also, virtual. It was on Zoom, which is really strange. I've gone to legislative action days almost every year. So one opportunity a year to go take all of the city commissioners down and talk to legislative stuff. So it was virtual, so I signed up for the meeting with our legislator, Assembly Member Megan Dowd. And so there were about, I don't know, maybe a dozen of us from different cities out there, including our past president from Brownsville was on there. Gunbar. Yeah, and I was in Nashville, too, or pretty little town. Anyway, and Megan Dowd has been, and Brad, since the Brad Valley, very supportive of Yreka. They're coming up for the legislative week next week. They've been supporting that since the beginning. And talked to her about that bill, the SB 1383, some of the other bills that would have not been beneficial for small cities like ours. And she's really a good representative for us in small cities. She knows what it's like to live in Vernon. They know what it's like to live in a rural area. And she really listens and she follows through. She's the only member, I believe, of the assembly that has 12 bills that have already been heard and passed through the committee. So they're all good bills for rural areas. One of them that she was concerned about was the decision to close the prison of the So they're working on stopping that.
Unfortunately, there might be not too far behind too.
Yeah.
What's that?
We're yeah.
It's not looking too close.
Also, Cal City, the Cal City board meeting, week before last, and I will give you more in-depth as a packet this day. I'll try to cut it down so we can make copies, but there's a lot of legislation on there. So, the ones that we supported and decided not to support or only support with amendments, so that it doesn't impair our ability to govern here in the rural areas. So I'm really proud of Cal City for rural areas because they cover rural, suburban, and urban areas as well. But we've got a lot of support. Also today there was a roundtable discussion regarding opening City Hall. And it was interesting to hear all the different ways. Some haven't even met to this day. Others are putting up partitions, between each council member, and then of course you have to have it right there in front for City Hall. And some are just now starting to open City Hall. So it was really interesting to see most are requiring that in order to come back to work, employees have to have their jobs. And if they don't, then they work from home. I mean, they'll work, but they don't work among other people. And I thought that was good to know. And you can by law ask if they have the jobs, you just can't require them to show the card.
So
I thought that was.
we had it, you can't prove it.
You have to use it on their own. And of course, all of our employees are brutally honest, right, Steve?
Brutally.
Brutally.
Brutally, sometimes, yes, brutally, it might be.
So, those are the highlights. It's been a pretty busy, evening.
Yeah.
And I did receive a phone call from, the executive director of the food tribe. They're looking for, the county board of supervisors to, support them in their efforts to get, I think it's government acres down the river with their cemetery, and they're having a hard time getting it through, the board of supervisors. And so, they went today, I wasn't able to go, I had other meetings, but, they went today before the board of coming to ask. They've been working on this now for more than a year.
So what is it? I'm sorry.
It's a piece of legislation that would give the police drive their center of the earth, property for their use. Right now, I think they go to the Forest Service for it, so they're asking for ownership of it. Much like what the Peacock have and Yreka, they have something very similar. That's already been granted. And actually, the police tribe is a very large, one of the largest tribes in California. Anyway, so that's a discussion about that. So that was really, and I think that Josh Jackson does a really, the executive director does a really nice job.
Awesome, thank you.
I have just a couple of things. I did have a LAFCO meeting, and the only thing we covered was budget and election of new officers. And I was invited to be and did participate in doing the judging for the chainsaw party at the fairgrounds.
Cool.
Wow,
What talent you.
I can barely carve a turkey. I was so impressed.
So you still chair?
Chair of LAFCO, oh yeah,
Not of the turkey.
not of turkey. Yeah. Yes, I'm still chair, and Nancy Ogren is vice chair.
Oh, excellent.
And she said she'd only be vice chair, I promised never to miss a meeting. So, okay.
That's fun.
Romantic.
Not bad.
And I hope everyone is paying attention to the Memorial Day events that are going to be going on, because I think it's, there's a tribute to at the Diamond Cemetery at 11 o'clock, stuff like that, so it'd be nice. To support some events. One way or
And you can still buy bricks at the veteran cemetery. They've got 400 bricks still, if you want to buy one for somebody in your family or somebody that you know, living or deceased, so.
Right.
We bought 2 of the sculptures at the credit union. They're sitting, we're trying to figure out where to put them in the new building. We already have one that we loan out to the fair. The one that sits when you first come in, right in front, that's ours. We loan it to the fair every year.
Okay.
But we bought 2 more this year, yeah.
Which ones?
One of them was a straight plank, but we're not sure, we're gonna do something special with it on the outside in the employee area. The other one is, I wanna say it's a bear sitting on the top of a tree. It's only about this tall and, kind of staring at it.
Nice, at the sculpture garden. Nice.
Yeah, from the yeah, and Fairground, we bought 2 of them.
You should have brought the draft for your.
Wasn't that good?
That giraffe was phenomenal.
Wasn't great.
And did you walk around the elephant, because on the back of the elephant, and he had a raised area in the shape of Africa.
Really?
And I thought that was really nice.
He was on West Erie. You're a long time, I think.
Exceptional.
Yeah, big time, yeah. He's very talented.
Yeah.
He directed it.
Wow.
Oh, that's it.
That's it. Joey has one more thing she's gotta have.
One thing. I was honored to be invited last night. We have a new business on Broadway.
Yes.
And it's Jeff,
Sims.
yeah, that's him. Jeff Sims is opening up, it's not a restaurant per se. She prepares food and it's there, and you can go between 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. to pick up, food for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You can pick it up there. And she had a little soft opening last night. It was really good, very healthy food.
Nice job, Republic.
It's a very, very nice.
What building, what old building is that, or what?
The old
It's
yogurt
next
shop.
to the.
Yo-yo shop.
The
Yeah.
purple is on.
Three twelve, thank you.
Purple is all gone.
It's called Chef's Pantry and
Chef's
it's a rabbit go.
Thank you.
I like that, yes, it's right, and I had them put it on that. And I said, she's also gonna do cooking classes, as well as she is also doing some, catering. So, but nice to do.
We're talking right now.
It's crowded.
Yes. A lot of
It's
these
really
numbers.
nice to see you.
Yes, I know, we need it. So we'll, that it. All right. Well, I'll keep mine simple. We got kind of a few meetings, had quite a few meetings last 2 weeks. But I'll keep mine simple. One of the big ones is we're doing the vaccination for clinic next May 25th, next Tuesday, 10 to 2 at the corner of Moonlit, I'll spit it out, Campus Drive, right there next to Behavioral Health. They're gonna be giving away free lunches there, and some other stuff will be given away. It's also trying to just talk to them, individuals, and bring them some awareness of some things that would be available to them in the future and stuff. We're keeping it simple. We're doing a Johnson & Johnson vaccination, so that way it's one shot, so that way they don't have to come back to the second one. That was the whole theory behind it. It's challenging enough to get one shot, let alone get 2 shots, especially if you do a follow-up on that. We had a meeting on that last week. They got the flyers out. They're getting spread around town. Paul and I are gonna go out hopefully sometime this weekend and address some of the camps and talk to some of the camps and stuff. I think it would be wise. I think that, don't think we had anything out to you, which I will, so love to hand out. I know PD, I think already got some. So we'll have to get those spread out a little bit more too. We're gonna go do some hands-on this weekend and then talk to a lot of those individuals. I have, Thursday, I have a meeting with the 7 counties with the North State to do a presentation for the point in time count for summertime point in time count for next year, actually. It's gonna be, hopefully, if everything goes well, it'll be on odd years, so every other year we'll be doing a summertime and every other year we'll be doing a wintertime point in time count, which the wintertime one is the one that the HUD requires. This one, hopefully with the consent of the 7 counties, will bring in other numbers that will help some other funding that they can receive and get some money for that. Well, like I said, it's not gonna help, it's not gonna show anything to HUD, but hopefully the idea of this is to be able to present that and eventually be able to show HUD that we do have a homeless issue in the rural areas that greatly get impacted, especially a lot of our emergency services and other things get impacted heavily during the summer months, and that we need some more funding to address these situations. So that's the key thing with that. So wish me luck on that, because it's hopefully will be something in the future that can bring this area some future funding that could help us out a lot on tackling this homelessness. And not only us, but what was one of the statistics I got the other day was I think it was 70%, we house 70% in California of, in the West Coast, California houses 70% of the homelessness population. Yeah, and it is, it's one of those issues that hopefully if we can start showing these things that maybe Governor Newsom will start working out some more money, and there is some money coming out. That's one good thing. There actually are starting to get some of that out, but hopefully more awareness will be spread to where we can see some of that funding and be able to do something with it. So
Hopefully the governor will see it as a mental health issue.
yes,
And not a housing issue, which is.
that's unfortunately,
It's not a housing
he
issue,
keeps,
it's a mental health
addressing it as that, unfortunately.
It's
So it's not, no, it's a mental health issue, and
And people are starting to realize that more and more.
Yeah.
And thankfully, you know, we have all the local people helping us out and behavioral health and human services and obviously our law enforcement, and all those guys helping us out in this situation to tackle it locally and do the right thing and move on with this. Thank you guys for everything. If there's anything else, we'll meeting adjourned, we'll go into closed session.